All right, ladies and gentlemen, we actually we had a little break. Tonight we're talking about relationships, and I am working on my relationship with technology. Okay, we have had some rough times, but right now we're getting it back together. So we're waiting for Miss Jones to get back online. I I see you. Hey, Shavina. Hey, Pierre. Oh my goodness, Miss Cherise, good to see you. We're on live. So Courtney is getting ready to come back online. Sister Ford, you are back on. Good to see you. I said that I am currently working on my relationship with technology. We are going to do better and better as the days go by. So Courtney is back. Let me go ahead and add her, and we will pick back up where we left off. Family, give us 1 second. You missed the first. You missed the first part. Well, okay. Replay on that first part. But she's coming back. We had a little brief intermission, so to speak, with technology. How fun! So I tell you what I'm getting for Christmas. I feel fabulous. Hey, Mom. That's what we don't want to do for Christmas. Okay. All right. So thank you, family, for coming back. If you missed the first part, you missed my fabulous introduction of this amazing lady. Okay. So I think I might do it again. I might just throw out a little bit right here. So tonight we have relationship coach, Courtney Jones, and I want to go ahead and make sure I put that out there. She is a relationship coach and the owner of Created to Connect. She has her master's in marriage and family therapy. She is ordained to married couples, and she is a Prepare Enrich facilitator for both premarital and postmarital counseling. So I've said this before, get all your relationship goodies right with Created to Connect. You can fall in love, get married, and work on any of the issues on the back end. Okay. Hey cousin Courtney. Sharon says to you, I see you. All right. So we are back. We are back. If you missed the first part, we were wrapping up with one of the things you were talking about is there are multiple when you think of purpose for relationships, there are multiple ways to look at that. Okay. You mentioned that relationships offer us an opportunity to grow. And one of the things that you have made mention of is it also is connected to our beliefs. So I think that's where we left off. You had made mention about if you believe men are dogs, you are, you get that. Let me say, hello, Courtney. How are you? I'm listening to you. This is Noel Morgan. Noel Morgan says hi. So I want to make sure you know
that. We met in Africa. Hello. How are you?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay.
Yes.
So clarify what you were meaning about you attract what you believe in your relationships.
So basically, if whatever you have a belief system, you're looking through that type of lens. So then that's what you see, and that's what you get more of. Whatever you focus on expands. We know that with universal law. So if you have a belief system that women are a certain way, men are a certain way, or even like reliving experiences like, my friends with girls, sometimes you see females that say, well, I don't have a lot of female friends because, females are this way or that way. And so you continue to perpetuate the experience because that's what you're looking for. So that was basically the point of that.
Well, the other thing that you made mention of, and I want to dig into this because this is one of the things that we promised to explain, that your first relationships, your first love, your love as it relates to your family impacts future relationships. Now, I do want to make sure you know, Miss Audrey Compton is saying hello. Tamaine Johnson is saying hello. Lots of love, hugs, and kisses to Maine Johnson.
Okay,
hey. Johnson. Oh, good to see you.
Arnisha?
So everybody, Arnisha's on here. So we got great family. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions throughout, definitely post. I'll make sure she gets those and we'll go from there. But you may mention, we're going to talk about your first love, how your first family impacts future relationships. So I'd love for you to take some time to break that down. What do you mean by that?
So, you know, when you come into this experience in this life, you have different experiences with your family, and they're the first people that show you how to do love. Um, whether you're seeing it with the father and the mother, how they do love, how they relate to each other, your experiences with your siblings, all of that shape the way you view relationships. And even when, even when you create experiences with family members that you don't care for, a lot of times people run out in the world. And especially if you grew up in in systems like we grew up in, where it's like, you get married, you go and you have a family. You don't sometimes realize that you're taking what you learned in that first family with you throughout life, and things that you haven't cleaned up or resolved with those family members will show back up in your relationship with others if you have some unresolved, especially if you grew up without a parent, and you have some resentment towards them. Sometimes you end up taking that resentment out in your partner. Say if you're a male and you have some resentment towards your mother, then all women start to look like your mom, even if they're not. And so say your mom was distrustful, she wasn't honest, then you start to look for dishonesty in other people because that was the first relationship you had with that particular female, and so it affects you in other relationships. Or even if you had like a really loving father, and then there's this expectations for people to act like the father, and so you have to understand that everybody is an individual, and you also have to take that and say, what do I need to clean up? What keeps reoccurring in my life because I'm having, some negative feelings towards my first family? What positive is happening in my life because of some positive experiences with my first family? And what do I want to create for the future for my life? But what you experienced in the beginning, it always shows back up.
Gotcha. Well, I want to make sure that the audience knows when we talk about relationships here, you're talking about multiple types of relationships. And the reason why I bring that up is you got a comment on the floor from Tamaine Johnson. He said, people don't believe being friends are important. And you got another comment on the floor. So true as it relates to marriage and relationships. And that's why I had so many trust issues. When you can't trust parents, you're going to have issues that pop up in future relationships.
So, it doesn't go away.
Yeah. How do people work through that? What is your suggestion or comment about that?
I think I think first is about being aware. I think a lot of people are having challenges in different types of relationships because they're not aware. And awareness is a beautiful gift, because then once you become aware consciously, then you can do the work to make changes in your life. I'll use myself as an example. Do I really want to share this?
Oh, you look in the mirror every day. Beautiful. Go ahead.
So, let's see. I think, some things are a process of time. You work on what you know up front, and the more you choose to grow as an individual, the more that it will be revealed to you about what's going on. Because there's a lot of times there's records playing in your subconscious mind that you're not aware of. And I'll just say, like, for instance, and once you become aware, then you can reframe it and change the story. You can reframe your perspective on it and have a new outcome and start attracting new things. I'll give you an example. So I remember growing up, for me, I would get frustrated with my mother because she would tell things to my aunt, and I would get frustrated. And I believe there was this sense of like betrayal, like you betrayed me by telling her this, because she was the type of person that she would share with other people. And so then one particular instance, when I got my period, my mother shared that with my aunt. And by the time I came back in town for Thanksgiving dinner, a cousin was making fun of the fact that I had came into my womanlyhood. Well, in that stage of life where my mind was, my cognitive thinking, I'm like, you betrayed me. How could you share this with her? Like, they're making fun of me. You know, I was feeling those feelings. And so because I had that mindset of, you know, this first woman that I love has betrayed me, I experienced relationships with females that betrayed me. Mind you, I didn't even know that that was the depth of the way that I took it until I have a daughter. And my daughter starts experiencing things. And then the first person I want to reach out to is my sister. Now, thankfully for me, my sister is a confidant who does not repeat information. However, everybody's not as lucky as me to have such an amazing sister. I have an amazing sister. I made a great choice before I came on the earth to be in this family.
I appreciate that. Okay.
Yes. And so once that helped me reframe it, like one specific thing that happened to my daughter, I wanted to rush and tell my sister. And I said, oh, I understand. She's the baby. My mom is the baby. I'm the baby. You want to go to your big sister and share things. And it wasn't malicious, and it wasn't of thought of betrayal. You're sharing to your big sister, oh, this accomplishment my baby has, not knowing that the other things were going to happen. But I noticed that because when I would share things and it would get, you know, communicated, I stopped sharing because I was just like, I don't want to have that experience. And so for me as a grown up, I had to, whoa, oh my God, I didn't even know that this was what was going on with me. And so, and oh, this is why I've experienced this different things with these different women that I've loved, that I've given my heart to. I could not even see, people around me could see, you know, they don't mean you no good. I couldn't even see it until the betrayal happened, because I was continuing the cycle, because I had not forgiven my mother for what I felt I was betrayed for. So in that moment, I said, I understand. I release you. I forgive you. I get it. I get it.
Right. The comment on the floor is, this is a great example of you naturally working on your chakras. This John Pitts Jr. And I think that's really powerful, because one of the things I talk about all the time is external conflict. The external conflict that you experience has some connection to the internal conflict, and not even the things that you are aware of, that thing that's playing around in your head. I think that's a great example. But I think it's also a great example of, like, the next thing that we wanted to focus on, and that is the power of consciousness, the power of awareness. You may mention about how to move from the standpoint of a victim mindset, from a victim mentality. Talk a little bit about the way we can see ourselves in a relationship as the victims, as a perpetual victim, and how you actually get out of that rhythm, that rotation of always being the victim.
So from a system perspective, we look at relationships from a term would be recursion. Recursion meaning that each person, no matter the state, regardless of the state of the relationship, each person has played a role for the relationship to be what it is. So no matter how good the relationship is, how bad the relationship is, how indifferent it is, we have both contributed to that to create what it is. So not being a victim is understanding your power in the creation of where the state of the relationship is. A lot of times people can get stuck at, this person did this to me, this person did that to me, they treated me so poorly, they treated me so badly, and not go within and say, why did I allow myself to be in this situation? What is internally going on within me that I feel like this is what I'm worthy of, or to stay. There's something going on within me that has played a part in allowing all of these things to come, and looking at the experience. And this is something that really if I would suggest a book that talks about this too, it would be what is it called? Radical Forgiveness, by Colin Tipping. Radical Forgiveness. But he talks about how, a medical model looks at a person like, what's your problem? How do I need to help you fix it? Versus looking at the situation as, what's happening now is perfectly happening for some reason. How is the why is this happening? How can I grow from this? What can I learn from this? So something powerful I know that I would hear Kecia Jones say a lot of time is no time is wasted if you learn something from it. So looking at it from the perspective of, you know, why am I here? How can I expand from this? What brought me to this point? Instead of you did this to me, because
Right.
from a sister's perspective, the recursion definition says, you know, we don't look at it in a form of blame or guilt. We look at it as that we have 50%. Both parties have the percentage of how they've created it to be a certain type
Right.
of way. So taking ownership for what you've done to create the relationship that you're in, and in taking ownership, then you take your power and say, okay, this is what I want to create moving forward. I
Right.
don't like the way this makes me feel. I've decided I want to do something different. And I think it is imperative and important to educate people, whatever type of relationship you're in, on how you desire to be loved and treated in this relationship. And that kind of trickles into to thine own self be true. But I don't know if you're ready to go there, so I'll.
No, but I'm not too ready to go there, because I think that needs to be stated even more. The fact that, if I'm understanding correctly, that we are consistently co-creating, especially in a relationship, we are co-creating the results that we're getting out of that relationship,
Yeah.
even if it is just simply based on our perspective of the other individual. Someone said, does that, this is a great question. Someone says, Trafina says, does that work with our children? That concept work with our children? Let's break that down.
Yes.
And you're a parent, so like you can talk about it from both sides, being a child and also being a parent. I told you, just love this. Yes.
Yes.
All growing moment.
So, you know, what we applaud in our children, and I have to, you know, I have to correct myself with this. You know what I mean? Like, what you start seeing your children or showing up for them is what you're continually feeding them.
Right.
If you are, and I hate this word bad, you know, people say, oh, they're bad. No, they're inquisitive.
Right.
No, they have a lot of energy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like changing
Right.
the perspective. Like, you know, someone can say a child is bad, and I can say, no, they are inquisitive, and
Right.
their mind needs to be challenged. I worked
Right.
in the school system, and I worked in the school system, and I saw children being labeled as bad, problem, this and that and the fifth. And so once they get this perspective, then they start to act out what you're feeding them that they are. And then when I had the opportunity to deal with them one-on-one, no, they're hungry. They didn't get fed breakfast this morning. And so they're hungry, or they didn't get any sleep because they're homeless now, and they were at the, you know, shelter last night. So it's about like finding out the whys of people are responding the way they are, and meeting people where they are. Looking at it from a framework of we're all doing the best that we can do with what we know, what we've experienced. So yes, it applies to all of our relationships. And as a parent, you know, I would challenge us to honor our children and honor who they are, instead of trying to control them into the way we want them to be. That's another topic. There's a book called Culture of Honor, and it deals with, you know, a different perspective of raising children from a mindset of like their voice matters, they're important, and instead of being like a red truck and a yellow truck where you do what I say because I'm stronger than you, and that form of parenting, you do what I say because I'm stronger than you and I'm bigger than you, and then when they become bigger than you, then what? And they still in your house at 14 and they bigger than you. So,
or when you need them because they are stronger and they're not there to support.
And you didn't create connection, and so they don't want to come home to you because you didn't value their presence when they were there.
I want to back up when we're talking about co-creating this world. And someone, John Pitch made mention of creating the cosmos, and like really your words, the power of your words to bring life to those things. So if you, I think this is so important because we, for whatever reason, fail to take ownership for our words and the power in our words. The flippant comment, you can hear that down the line of somebody saying, "How's your? Well, tell me about your son. Oh, he's bad." Well, you're gonna get more of that. So when the comment is made about how does that affect us as it relates to parents and children, I'll say for me, I think the children rise to the level of expectation. And if your expectations are low, or if you're not even really, you're not conscious of who your child is, that's going to show up. That's going to show up. So I want to make mention, some of you were here the other night when King Simon was on and he talked about numerology as it relates to not just yourself, but your child. That gives you some clarity on what divine being you brought into this world. But all of this is connected to knowing yourself, knowing the importance of connection. And I love the comment that we're going to talk about now, what we're going to focus on now. To thine own self be true. How to define and receive your desire. Breaking it down, talk to me about what you feel, why you feel like this comment is important. Someone is talking to you right now. Trafina says, I'm fighting with the school right now on this issue with my son. Sierra Jones says, absolute facts here. So let's talk about thine own self, to thine own self be true. What do you mean about defining what love looks like for you so that you can actually receive that?
I think it's very important for us all to go within and be honest with ourselves about what we need. A lot of times people can be so thirsty to be in relationship with people that they are not honest about what they need to thrive in that relationship, and they just accept what is given, and then eventually someone feels taken advantage of or mistreated, when in reality, in the very beginning, you weren't honest about what you needed, communicating what you need, as well as when a person, lets you know that's not something I'm willing to give you, then how do you want to maneuver in that relationship? Doesn't mean you have to completely cut a person off, but it does mean you need to be honest with yourself of, well, these are the boundaries that I need to create to keep the good in and to keep the bad out, and to have what I need to operate at my highest potential. We all have our own makeup. For instance, myself, there are specific things that help me operate at a higher frequency, help me to be in the world, functioning on a high level. There are specific things that I need in relationship to do that. There are some people who are more driven in other areas, but for me, like core, when my relationships are not doing well, it affects my other things like work. And I'm not the type of person that'll go be a workaholic and not deal with the relationship. No, we're gonna resolve the conflict or come to a place of peace, because for me, that makes me not operate at my highest level. So for instance, we have ABC books that people have used for years, but I want to talk about it from a different perspective. Like the 5 Love Language, Gary Chapman, right? This book, everyone's heard of this book. This book has been around since the 90s. However, even with this book, if you feel like you found out your partner's language, your child's language, they have it for 5 love languages of your children, your parents' language, and you feel like, well, that's just what it is, then you're not operating at the highest level, because in reality, these things change. Like for me, as a high school student who didn't have certain cares in the world and didn't have any children, my love language was one way. Then operating as a single mom, acts of service became way more important to me than just focused attention, because I'm juggling so many things. I need help. And when someone comes in and helps me, I feel loved, And so if we are aware that our body is consistently changing, that every 7 years we're getting, new hair and new layers of skin, how dare you to think that what someone needs emotionally is the same? And as well as looking within and saying, what do you need right now? and honoring yourself to give it to yourself, and creating proper boundaries in all of your relationships, so that they can operate, so that you can be the best version of you. Even with, parent to child, there's a type of relationships when children are, living in your house, and then there's another type of relationship a parent has with their adult children. And there's a book about boundaries with parents and their adult children, because the relationship should shift. You should not still be dealing with each other the same way that you did when you was living in their house. And so we just have to be honest with ourselves, and being honest with ourselves is taking time with self to find out what you need. And that goes into paying attention to your numbers, paying attention to your birth chart. I know for me, when I got my birth chart, and also like not allowing people to make you feel bad for who you are. This is how I was designed. This is how I was made up. And if you don't care for it, you can be in relationship. You don't have to be in relationship with me, but this is who I am, and it's beautiful. And so I don't want to keep going, but
hey, we go with the flow. Go for it.
But yeah, I just think it's just important to know those things, and to understand that they're forever changing. And so then you got to communicate to the people you're in a relationship with, oh, this is what I'm needing right now. Whether it be time to yourself, whether it be, time of connection, but just being honest with yourself. I know for me, a lot of times, I know touch is important to me. And so I was gonna wear my shirt today that says Sundays are for cuddling, but I didn't.
Okay.
Yes. But touch is very important to my makeup. I'm heart centered. If you look at my the way I move, like from my birth chart, it's just so beautiful how I do love my Venus. And this may not make sense to everyone, but I'll say it to just kind of perk your ears, for you to go and find it out for yourself. My Venus is in Pisces, and that is it. When Venus is the planet that represents how you deal with love in the earth, like how you do love as a person. And so when it's in Pisces, it's exalted, meaning this is the highest level of love. So I am an uber goober lover. Like I'm all about, oh, I love you. And it don't take me long to say I love you. I see the good in everyone. I just love. I'm like the cartoon character with the red hair. Oh, I just want to love you and hug you and squeeze you. And like, that is me. That is me. I will like give you big hugs, and like people who knew me like from high school, it's like I'm like the hugger. Like that's just who I am. And so to be silenced and to say, no, we can't do this in public. Well, that's me. Like, I mean, that's how I was made.
You have statements over here. Sharon says, Courtney hugs everyone. And Christy Hope Bittman, love you, ladies. Love you, Christy. She says, love you, lady. Two smart women. But yeah, definitely. Knowing now, here's the thing, though. You just took the concept of knowing thyself even deeper, because it really shows the importance of digging into your birth chart, digging into your numbers, knowing like the natural creative makeup of yourself and why you do what you do.
Because if you don't, you will allow other people in this life to make you feel bad for what you did, for who you are naturally. Like, I've heard of many a time from different female friends, you do too much. You're too nice to these men. And you know what I mean? Just like you're too giving, and so understanding my makeup, but then helping me to find the balance with that, because, in everything we got to be balanced. So there's nothing wrong with loving people, but then you also have to have boundaries as well, so that you're protecting yourself. So I just think it's just important to be honest with yourself. Sometimes people look at things and they make words like needy and people feel bad. And it's just like, it's not about feeling bad. It's about being clear about what you need, being able to communicate what you need, being okay if somebody isn't willing to give you that. And it doesn't make you bad, me bad, good, or whatever. It just is what it is. And so, okay, thank you. This is what we can experience in this relationship, in this friendship, and this whatever. And this is what it won't be. And so it's just to help you.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think this is so important when you talk about the identity piece, because I think that that is really connected to a lot of the sicknesses that we are seeing right now. Is the inability to be honest with yourself, to say what you really need, what is really important to you. And that means you are living a life that is not authentically you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to you. Can you talk to us a little bit of how that shows up when you are in a relationship, but you're not authentically yourself or not being honest about what you really need? What things show up for a
I think
person who is
bitterness
living?
shows up, resentment
Mhm.
shows up, um, and then that can turn into different forms of dis-ease because
Mhm.
it's dis-ease in the body turns into disease. Um, but and you're not, I mean, you're lying in the relationship, you're not being honest. And so what I think what happens sometimes is people do certain things and expect, oh, after a period of time then I'll get what I want out of the relationship, or I'll
Right.
get what I need. And it's just like, you never communicated what you needed. How do you expect that it doesn't just happen that way? People don't just do for you because you did for them. Some people do, but that's not the right expectation to have. You need to be able to be honest and communicate, this is what
Right.
I need, this is what I desire, this is like, and be okay if they're not willing to meet that. Like, I know, there's a season of life where you may not, like, for me, touch is important to me, but there's been seasons of life where there was, I mean, I cuddle with my baby, but my daughter, but I had to find healthy ways to get my needs met. So that looked like getting a massage. That looked like going to a dance class. That looked like
Right.
hugging people at work because I need a hug, so I'm giving you a hug too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So finding
Right.
healthy way, being honest about what you need, and then finding healthy ways to get it. But
Right.
in regards to relationship, when you're not being honest, then you can't then it also shows up as people not being honest to you because you're not being
Right.
honest in the relationship. And then you're like, he lied to me. You've been lying the whole time as well. Let's look at how
Right.
you
So that's
create
lying
that.
to yourself.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
lying to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah,
So
now
lies
that's
are gonna
interesting
show
because
up.
that goes back to what you mentioned in the beginning when we were talking about our beliefs, and what shows up is the reflection of what's going on the inside. Some of us are experiencing relationships where there's cheating or lying or different things. And I have heard several times where someone says, I have never done this to anyone else. I can't believe that this would
You're
happen to
doing it to
me.
yourself.
Yes, yes. I'm going to acknowledge some people on the call right now. Noah Morgan said, I love your illustration, and holding it will help others as you're talking from personal perspective and lifelong experiences. So want to make sure that we acknowledge everyone. And if you have questions on the line, jump and send us a question. We'll make sure that we share this with the group. For those of you who don't know, you are watching the Creation Institute. This is a series of interviews that we've been doing all week long, 7 at 7. If you want to connect a little bit more, Courtney Jones is going to be at the December 15th event in Atlanta. I would suggest, even if you're not doing the course right now, I would say go to thecreationinstitute.com and just simply sign up, log in to get your information there so we can send you more emails about events. Again, it is thecreationinstitute.com, and you can sign up and make sure that you can connect. And I'm sure she's going to be doing a course pretty soon. Right now, we just have the creation course up there, and we'll talk more about that. Tamaine said, great job, fam. Let me ask you this, because we've covered the different areas that you wanted to cover. But what do you feel like is the number one thing that we really need to get? If there was just one thing that you needed to share about relationships before we wrapped, what would that be for you?
I think one of the main things, when we talk about relationships, I think a lot of times our culture, from the music that we listen to the videos that we
Mhm.
watch, we're always looking outward. And I think we got to start looking within
Yeah.
and asking ourselves, what is my piece in this puzzle that I'm playing to allow this to happen in my life? Why is
Yeah.
this showing up for me? What do I need to work through to make something different? And how do I need to love myself better? Because
Yeah.
it's when you love yourself,
Yeah.
it just shows up,
Sure.
and it's a disconnect with self. And I think what's very, very important is going within and
Yeah.
trusting ourselves, and being honest with ourselves. I think it starts with that. And then we start seeing, when we do our own work, we start seeing the changes around us.
Yeah, very true. Very beautiful. Courtney, let me ask you, how can people connect with you? If you didn't hear me at the beginning, she is the owner of Created to Connect. She is a relationship coach, and that's not just with uh, um, people who are ready to get married. That's inclusive of that, but you also focus on families as well. So talk to the audience about how can they connect with you moving forward.
Well, if anybody wants to connect with me, you can send me an email at Courtney, that's Courtney, at Created to Connect. And that's 2TO, not the number 2, but createdtoconnect.com. Courtney at createdtoconnect.com. Shoot me an email with a question or your number, and I will get back with you as soon as I can.
Beautiful, beautiful. Any questions from the audience? I will take. But I definitely wanted to make sure you had her contact information moving forward. We could talk about love and connection and relationships. I love something that someone mentioned before. No one, when they think about love and connections, we don't always think about friendships, and I think that that's a big piece right now, because in the world of social media, what we have found out is that people are actually losing personal connections. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, because while loving a partner, having a partner in your life, I think is really important. It's also your friends that you connect with, that you have loyalty, like there's a connection, a strong sense of family there. Talk to us a little bit about maybe why you feel like we're having issues with sustaining friendships, or what we can do in that area, because I do know someone mentioned it.
Well, why are we having issues with sustaining friendships? I am aware of what you said as far as like social media. I feel like I heard a study that was talking about how we've become more disconnected because instead of like meeting, we're seeing people's life through pictures. That's not always the truth. It's what you want to project. But I think it just kind of depends on. I know a lot of times when people go through different changes in life, sometimes they disconnect. Like sometimes when people get married, they just hang out with married friends, instead of staying connected with like people that they may have been friends with when they were single. But I think that in itself, if you're having issues with sustaining friendships, it's going internally with what am I believing? What is the projection that I'm putting on the screen? Because there is a reason why something is showing up in your life or not. So I think it always goes back to looking within. And, it may also be you just haven't found the like-minded connection. Like you're in a place of transition. Oh no,
No, you're good. You're good. Unless you're gone. I think we're good on this end. Let's see. Life has made, I think she'll be back. She will be back. I think she ended up cutting herself off, but she will be back. I'm sure we'll make that happen. But here we go. Here she comes. And I'll make sure that I'll throw that out as we get ready to wrap. So if you have any other questions as we get ready to wrap, please don't hesitate.
I apologize.
You were frozen for like a good little second, but I was like, you good?
Me. I apologize. That was me.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Well, good. Trifina says life has made me feel disconnected. We were talking about the disconnection. Yeah.
I completely understand that too. Being a mom. I mean, Trifina, she's a mom. She's a single mama.
She's a big time mama. Yes.
7 children. Like, and I know
she gave you 7 children. It's 5. I do know.
I'm sorry, I haven't met them. I just see pictures and I'm like, she got her football team.
She got a tribe.
Yes, honey. She got plenty of people to wait on her when she is of elderly age. Yes. But yeah, that does happen. You get caught up in the day-to-days of life and you forget to reach out to connect. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to just realize like we need each other. I need you. You
Yes.
need me. It's the truth. We do.
Yes.
We need each other. We need each other. We need each other. We need each other. And it doesn't make you weak to need each other. That is how you were designed.
Right.
And making efforts to connect with people,
Right.
with as far as like not having friendships, setting aside, just like you plan to get your hair done, or you plan to get your car washed, or you
Right.
plan to go to work and you have your meetings on your calendar. You got to be intentional. When you have different things in life that like, or responsibilities you feel like you got to be intentional about
Right.
having connection. So,
Right.
and just figuring out what that looks like for you. It looks differently for us all.
I love it. I
I
love
know,
it.
so the truth.
Well, I will definitely want to make sure that the audience, if you have any new intentions that you are setting based off of what you heard, go ahead and shout that out to us and let us know. Or you can shoot it back to us a little bit later, because I do know people will be watching this replay. Because love, everybody loves to talk about love. And I think that it's a beautiful thing. One thing that I do love about what you said is the importance of knowing yourself and knowing how you love. You know that your Venus is in Pisces. My Venus is definitely somewhere else. Um,
Yes, it
definitely
definitely
somewhere
is.
else. We'll do that for another interview. Someone says, I hope Courtney ends with a, oh, that would be lovely. She says, I hope Courtney ends with a song. Courtney Jones, you have, oh, this is beautiful. Anisha says, Courtney Jones, you have always had a special aura about yourself, even in elementary school. I love you, my girl. Keep up the good work.
Love you, babe. Thank you.
Well, I think you got put on the spot, but singers can always
You know
sing.
they
So,
are.
hello. Why don't we end with a song? Because you did that. You put them here. What's in your spirit as we go ahead? I'll help you and prep you as you're thinking. But tonight, if you missed anything, we've been talking about love and connections with Courtney Jones, the
Yeah.
relationship coach. You can connect with her at Courtney at createdtoconnect.com. You can also see her on December 15th in Atlanta with the host of other speakers to help you to learn how to create a better world going into
Yes.
2019 and especially 2020. Guys, we are thinking about the long haul here and creating something amazing. Sierra Jones here, our cousin. I love you. She says, y'all are amazing. Thank you, cousins. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
baby.
I gave you enough prep time to come up with your song. So
I'm
let's
just
go
gonna
ahead.
sing what I started because this is about connection.
All right.
I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive.
There you have
You
it.
are important to me. I need you to survive.
This is Kecia Jones with Courtney Jones, relationship coach. You've been watching the Creation Institute. You guys pop up on my page, and I'm glad I tuned in. I'm glad you guys tuned in as well. Come back with us on tomorrow night with us, Jason Ford. We thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.